He says yes, Joseph.
Joseph, you're the man. I gotta get get him on the payroll. Oh man, that was crazy.
Showing on USA.
Wait, don't leave yet, Joseph. I just want to make sure we're live before you go.
Roundup fam. What up,
Thank
homies?
you so much. You're the man, Joseph.
Roundup family. That's why I love hanging out with Daniel and Kris. You guys, you know a lot, but when you don't know something, you can get the answers so quickly. It's truly amazing how you get to watch you guys at work.
Thank you very much. It's entrepreneurship, right? That's what we do. Solve problems, man.
Solve problems quickly. What do you think about somebody's getting some feedback somewhere? The volume might be up high. What do you think about Henry Ford, where they said he was illiterate? He didn't know anything because he had asked everybody he said, I can hit a button to find the answers. Any man would know it. Do you guys live by that mantra too?
Menza. What about you, Chris Birch?
I've always lived by the rule that no doesn't mean no, it just means not right now. So I usually find a different path.
There you go.
So,
man, you got that. That was pretty sharp, Daniel. Roundup family, if you're just joining us, thank you for coming over tonight. We are just doing something different this week. This is two members from my YouTube and internet marketing mastermind and good friends of mine and entrepreneurs and real estate guys, Daniel Borrero and Kris Birch. What's up, homies?
What's going on, sir?
Good to see y'all. So
likewise.
Roundup, I promise you, the more successful and wealthy and rich and people with money and forward thinking and smart people that you hang out with, I promise you, you're going to be the next one. It's just how it works. So in my mission to raise your financial literacy, I get an opportunity to bring you people that I hang out with. So I want you to see their perspectives, their philosophies, their beliefs, what they know about certain things in the real estate industry and some of their experiences. And hopefully we will get some questions answered for you tonight about online real estate auctions. Let's go. Give me some background real quick, Daniel, so my Roundup homies know who you are. Tell me give me your background, a 30-second background. Daniel, you've been doing real estate for longer than I've been alive. I love your opinion.
1989, I've been investing in real estate since 1989. Predominantly, we started in Brooklyn, New York. Actually, Kris visited us in New York last year, looked at some of our properties. Then we started buying out of state, primarily in little bit in Lee County, which is Fort Myers, Florida. We started with land, and over the years, we sold thousands and thousands of parcels of land. But back in 2000 and I would say, 2010, 2009, we went back into the business right after. We kind of sat back during the recession of 2008, let the dust settle to decide where we were going to dip our feet back in, and we decided to go into Central Florida. And we've bought thousands of doors in there as well as flip them, but we've capped over 300 doors.
Nice. Thanks for your time, Daniel. Brother Birch, give us 30-second commercial. I know you're in the printing industry. I sent you a lead today too. Did you get that email?
He actually responded as well, and I just followed up with an email. So yeah.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah. Dropped out of college back in '96. Wanted to be in the entertainment business. Did that for many, many years before I almost went broke. Started in the printing business because of my relationships in the entertainment industry. And it kind of transmorphed into a business that was never. It was true entrepreneurship. It was something that was never planned. It was something that evolved based on my relationships. And then as of 4 years ago, I've been active in real estate transactions while also running my business.
So you do all types of anything that's print, you do it.
Yeah. I'm not going to say mostly. 60% is paper products, cardboard products. So anything from postcards, flyers, door hangers, business cards, all sorts of different stocks and finishes. We also do signage. We do real estate signage. We do yard signs, pole signs, any sort of banners. Nice. We're 100% in-house. We do everything in-house, hands-on.
That's cool. Roundup family, if you need your bandit signs, Kris is the man that can get that for you. He does mine, and I think he was doing some stuff for Daniel. So today, Roundup, we wanted to share with you. We were in our last week, we were talking, I don't know how we got from YouTube and internet over to online real estate talk. How did we get to that, y'all? Do you remember that?
No, I brought it up because you were asking us about recent content that we posted on our own YouTube independent channels.
Yeah.
And I mentioned that I had just uploaded last week a video while I was live at the property before the auction. Then I was live, recording the online auction because with COVID, there's no in-person auctions right now. So everything has been online. And I think Dan's brother, Dave, kicked in and was like, dude, online auctions are the worst. Like, you don't know what's going on. You don't know if this computer is up in the bid. And, that's really what transmorphed this whole discussion.
Nice. I cannot wait to share my experiences. Oh, my Lord. And then Daniel, I saw Daniel just horns came out of his face. When he was talking about. I'm like, oh, darn, what happened? He must have some stories. So before I unleash Daniel, tell us about this one, Kris, that you went to go see. Paint the picture for us.
All right. So probably 3 or 4 days a week, I get an email from a pretty large auction house in the city of Baltimore. They handle anything from tax sales tax foreclosures where the city has now come in and deemed ownership, which is very common in certain neighborhoods in Baltimore.
Yeah.
This one attracted me for 2 reasons. First, it's in a neighborhood where I actually already own a piece of real estate.
Okay.
It's adjacent to all of the development that's not only currently going, but development that's already been funded by the city. So you can see in their development map that this area is a hot spot for where the funds are coming from the city. They've already planned it. And it was 2 blocks away from a house that I own there. So the morning of, I had set a reminder on my phone that the auction started, I think at like 10:30 it ended at 10:30. So I got up, got my coffee, drove up to Baltimore, which is only about 30 minutes from where I live in DC.
Mm-hmm.
I understood after talking to the auction house, which is something I think we'll touch on, is I was able to find out that the property, it was a tax sale. It was a foreclosure by the city because of failed property tax payment. It was occupied, but the auctioneer didn't know if it was owner occupied or if it was tenant occupied, and nobody was allowed to go view or visit the property. So you were buying a house on the assumption that you don't know when you're going to get this person out, who this person is, but if you can do it at the right price, maybe you can negotiate down the road. It might be a good tenant and a property owner just disappeared. I had no idea.
Sounds like the world we live in foreclosures.
Yep. So I set a cap price from where my comfortable zone is. So not knowing the condition of the property, I have no idea what renovation or rehab is going to be, or if it's even going to be an option. Because we're probably going to spend the first probably 3 to 6 months trying to figure out how do we either get rid of the tenant that's in there or the owner that's in there. The courts are closed. You can't go. You got COVID, so there was a lot of variables. So I set a very conservative number on where I felt comfortable with. And I hit that number probably 10 or 15 minutes before the auction ended.
What was the starting bid, Kris, and what was your number?
Starting bid was either 10 or 12,000, which was kind of a bait kind of price because we already know it's not going to go anywhere near 10.
We'll get to that. I want to go to
yeah. About that. My number was between 30 and 35 was the max I was going to pay.
And what is the ARV on that, Kris?
ARV in that neighborhood, square footage, bed and bath. This was a 2-bed, 1-bath, between 140 and 160.
You got some? Can you pull that up? Share your screen for my Roundup homies that can't see it.
Let me see.
I cannot wait to hear Daniel. I can read his mind. He's got all these bullets in his mind. Good Lord, I'm excited. Roundup. If y'all have no idea, Daniel, the man, he not only has he been doing business since the 80s. I mean, he does it so matter-of-factly. So when he does some shit, I don't want to curse, but when he does some shit, and you're like, darn, did you? He does it so it's just part of his DNA. It's like I guess the owner of McDonald's opens it up, lets the people go to work. I mean, you're a magician. Go ahead, Kris. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull up the outbid notification that I got.
Outbid notification.
Mm-hmm. Okay, here we go. Now it's already off of their page, but
it's gone.
Yeah, hold on.
I guess you have to just paint a verbal picture for us then.
Well, you know what I could. Well, actually, hold on. Let's see what Trust
Roundup. If you're just joining us, I got Kris Birch and Daniel Borrero. We're just going to be going out. I call this ins and outs of online real estate auctions, but then I changed it to hidden secrets behind the shady online real estate auctions.
Yeah, no, it's not letting me. But you know what I could do, Kris? Let me copy the video link that I uploaded on my YouTube channel. I could just post that in the comments. They could actually look at the property.
Yeah, there you go. Send it, put it in the private. Send it to me in a private chat. I can do that.
Yep.
So your bid was, I mean, you wanted to be 35. Tell me about the auction experience, and then we'll go to Dan about some of the things that's going on behind the scenes that my Rounduppers may or may not know that's going on.
Yeah. So for me, it was not a big surprise. I knew initially to call the auctioneer and ask certain pertinent questions, which he was
hold on, rewind, Kris. How did you know this? I want you to start from a person that has no idea how this works.
Okay. So
you say you knew. How the hell did you? I mean, who would know to do what?
Okay. The reason I know is because I've been the victim of some of the stuff that you were about to reference, where you got to know who the players are, not just the auctioneer.
That's right.
You got to know. Yep. You got to know who a Kris Haskins is when you go to the auction steps, or because I don't get to see online. You don't get to see anybody else. You see a first letter and a star, and the last letter of their name. You have no idea who these people are, whether it's an automatic computer.
What do you mean? Are you talking about the other bidders, Kris?
The other bidders, yep. The other bidders. So we mentioned this in that mastermind last week. People these days that don't understand how the online auction works are paying drastically more than they should. They don't understand. One example, there's a buyer's premium. So you're going to pay whatever your final price is, you're going to owe the auction house 10% on top of what you just paid for the property to the auctioneer.
Wow. Break that down for people that are numerically challenged, Kris.
Sure. 10% premium for the auction house is you buy a house for $100,000, you actually paid $110 for it.
Good God, man.
But that's not it. You still got closing costs on your side.
Unfreaking believable.
So you're probably paying about $125 on the 100 bid.
Unbelievable, man.
Yeah. So for me, between 30 and 35, I was really going to be paying close to 40 by the time I paid the 3,000 or 3,500 buyer's premium, and then I had closing costs on top of that.
So buyer's premium is almost in like realtor fees.
Yeah.
Actually, they do post it as realtor fees at some of the websites online, like Hubzu would do that, auction.com. But those fees actually, like in auction.com, I've seen them go as little as 0, as high as 5 to 6%.
Mm-hmm.
I heard you mention the reason this sparked when I heard Daniel broke down. Good gosh, man. You got to know who the players are. Daniel, elaborate a little bit on that. When you were saying that, man, it just blew my mind. Because I see, it's another one of those things where we see it and we're in the mix all the time. You're like, okay, that's that, boom, boom. But you don't think about not knowing it, Daniel.
So, I've like I said, I've been doing this since 1989. My brother David has been my partner, and my dad. My other brother Derek dabbles as well with it, with us in some properties, but primarily it's my brother David and I. So, having said that, when you have a partner that knows what you know and is as as hungry as you are, right, it makes life a lot easier. So there's times, so for instance, you know, when you, for instance, let me just think of a situation. I got a good one. So not all the municipalities are doing courthouse steps auctions anymore. A lot of them will go on to the auction sites or do it from the government site itself for that municipality, right?
Like .gov or whatever.
Right. But now you fall into the situation that Kris Birch mentioned, is that you don't know who the players are. And a lot of times those players, and I haven't witnessed this personally, but I've heard of it happening, is that those players are sometimes in the same room the last hour of that auction. And what they're doing is bidding up certain properties to get the newbies out, so that by the time their properties come up, the newbies are out with their money, right? They don't have no more money. Or they're bidding up properties against the newbies so that the newbies themselves are now paying more than what the property is actually worth, because they don't really know what the might as wells are. The might as wells are, well, I'm fixing this, I might as well fix that. Or they don't know what might be's, whereas when you start opening up the wall, what you're going to find behind that wall, right? Whereas professional guys like ourselves, we're always taking that into account. And we're always assuming that's going to be there. If it's not there, then it's additional profit. And if it is there, we've already figured those into our numbers, right? And we're not buying on emotion. We couldn't care less, because we don't love the house. It's just another vehicle of making money for us. So having said that, when you go to the courthouse steps, and this is what we were speaking about, Kris Haskins and Kris Birch, I think this is when my horns came out that you were talking about, was when you go to the courthouse steps and it's live. What my brother and I would do is we would go maybe 6 or 7 times just so that we could recognize who the real players are.
Same faces.
Right, because the real players, though, it depends on their personality. Some want to be very boisterous, I'll let everyone know that they're there. Some of them are very quiet. They sit in the background. Those are the scary ones, right? Yeah. And then some are like down the middle, but they also give each other signs. So you have to read their signs. So although they're competing against each other, they want to kick out the newbies, right? And they make the newbies pay more than what the property is actually worth to discourage them from coming back, right? Because they don't want the competition. So it's been situations where my brother and I go to the courthouse steps and we're buying properties, and they try playing the game on us, and I get so angry to let them know, like, guys, I'm not the guppy in this pond. I'm the whale in the ocean. And I'll come in and I'll outbid everybody, even if I lost money, just to make sure they understand who the new player is in town, and then they give you that respect. And you make up the money later on down the road. So, and I'm not trying to sound big or boisterous, but that's the reality of the business, right? So what happens, though, sometimes my brother will be at the actual property and I'm on the phone with him, because the players have their partners at the property. And what we're really doing is, we're reading the body language. That's what that's what you don't get on the online auctions, is the reading of the body language. And the body language, the facial expressions, the looks in their eyes tells you if you got the property or not. Can I push this a little bit more? If I go up another 1,000, will they break? If I stay put, are they going to stay back? There's a lot of little things. Another secret is, it's not really a secret, but a lot of properties, and Kris Birch brought this up, where the auctioneer pulls the property off the block that morning of, right? So we may drive by the property. We'll go by the property, and if it's an empty property that morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, I'm at the property looking to see if there's any windows that are open, the doors are open, and I'm not gonna lie to you, we'll take advantage of it. One time, one of the neighbors called the cops on us at 7 o'clock in the morning, but the doors were open, it wasn't ajar.
Do you really care about that? The doors open. I've been in houses and the doors open too, Daniel. I'm going to be transparent. I just walked the hell in. What is your thing?
Pretty much that's what I do, but it's really trespassing to an extent.
Probably. So, yeah. You can ask for forgiveness, though. My mentor said you can always ask for forgiveness.
That's precisely what we've done. And we're not hiding about it. So, our pickup truck is literally parked in the driveway with our signage on the side. I'm there with my pad, for instance. We're dressed appropriately. We're not, we're not dressed in all black with hoods on, looking like we're trying to hide our faces or anything, right? So, and then you give them your business card, and then you show them, listen, this is on the auction. The door was open. I just came in. I didn't know if there was anybody in here.
Yeah.
You play dumb, right? And be respectful, of course. So having said that, there's times where then the cops come in, and I've done it myself. I'll immediately make sure the door's locked so anybody that comes behind me is not getting in. That way they don't know what I know. So, there's times where I know the entire kitchen's there with brand new cabinets, and there's times where I've walked in and I find cement bags with quick dry cement, where that, and you see all the cement by the toilet floor, they threw cement down the lines. Now you're figuring that in as well, where you got to now replace the whole waistline going all the way to the street, correct?
Nasty.
So there's so many things that you have to understand and learn. And then the online auction stuff, you really better know your numbers and all the fees that are involved. And especially they use their title company, right?
Let me get back to Birch before we get on that. Birch, I wanted to ask you, we'll get back to you, Daniel, both of you guys. Let me get back to Birch. Robo bidding.
Yeah.
Could you give us your take on that? I want all three of us to talk about that, but
yeah,
I have my opinion about it, but I want to know what your feeling is about it and explain to my rounduppers what you think about that.
Yeah. So for those of you that don't know, robo bidding is the auction house already knows the number that they need for the property. So let's say it's a tax foreclosure. The city has already given the auctioneer the minimum or the reserve price is what a lot of auctions call it. They've already given the auctioneer that price. The auctioneer will post it well below that price to drive interest, for investors like us to say, wow, 10 grand for a house. I mean, who wouldn't bid on that?
Mm-hmm.
So the foreclosure that the city had issued on this property is for unpaid property tax in, I don't know, $15,000.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go. So they start the bid at 10, and then they can, as the auction house, they can set a robot, their computer system, to automatically bid against the next bid up to whatever point they set it. So they might not bid it up to 15, where the foreclosure price is. They might set the reserve at 20, and then it'll automatically against all the active parties until it gets to that $20,000 mark. My opinion on it, well, I have two different things. One, I feel like it's kind of a bait and switch where they can drive you to a certain price, and then the computer will automatically run the bid up on you. But the other thing that you can do, and I've done, and I had to learn it, is you can call the auctioneer and just say, look, what is the reserve price on this? Am I wasting my time at $19,000? Am I wasting my time at $17,000?
Mm-hmm.
Some of them will give you the number, and some of them will just answer yes or no. But you can ask that question up to $25,000, and they can say no. Okay, well then there's certain things they can't say. They're bonded by the legalities of being the auctioneer. They can't disclose certain things. But you can ask a question with a simple yes or no, and they'll answer it. It'll give you some leeway as to where to go.
Daniel?
I agree with Kris. It's ask. What could they tell you? No, I mean, who cares? I mean, it's like I tell everybody, it's like asking the pretty girl at the dance. I mean, most of the time people don't ask her because they're afraid of being turned down. But you're never going to know if you don't ask, right? So I agree with Kris. You call up, and most of the time they won't tell you the numbers. But if you do what Kris says and you say, well, what if I go up to this, will that make it happen? And then, or at least am I close? And they may say yes or no. Some of them just are very cold and immediately say, put in your bid, leave me alone, and that's what it is, But half of them will give you some guidance, like Kris said, yeah.
From my experience, guys, is like on the robo bidding, it's not immediate that I'm outbid. I think, and once again, I have no idea whether this is true, but what I've seen, I'll bid. I don't know if it's a human bidding an hour or two later, that it will go up. And then at the end of the auction, all these bids have gone up and up and up. And then it's back on the market next week. Mm-hmm. Somebody won the bid, and I don't know if it's a human or if it's the robot.
My experience is that they didn't send in the deposit money. And then if that happens, if you're the second in line, if you're in second in line, which has happened a lot to my brother and I, if we were the second highest bid, the auctioneer sends you out an email and says they didn't send in the escrow. You can have it if you sign today.
So you've taken those bids?
Yo, yeah, it's funny. The best deals that we've ever made are deals that came back to us. Whether it be through the auction or individual deals. But that's happened a lot to us where we were the second highest bid and it comes back to us. Because remember, on the courthouse steps, you got to come with your checks. Yeah. You know, it's not Johnny come late. You need it there like now. In most of the auction sites, you have 3 days to have the wires wired in.
Well, Birch, go ahead, Birch. What were you saying about the?
I was going to say that exact scenario played out a couple weeks ago on another online auction that I was bidding on. I was willing to go up to $25,000 on this property. It ended up winning bid was $27,000, and I saw that it said that it was not. And this is a question you should always ask when you do call an auction house. Is this an absolute auction? Is the winning bid with no reserve, is that going to be an absolute auction? Are they guaranteed to win it? Mm-hmm. So after this auction ended, I saw some person or robot won it for $27,000. I called the auction house, and this is the one that just closed, an hour ago. Was that absolute? He said, no, it'll relist in about 2 weeks.
Wow.
And I said, well, what do you have to have for it? He said, well, hold on, let me look. And he pulls it up. The city has a lien against it for $28,500. I need to get $28,500 or better. I didn't want to spend that money, but he just disclosed it all to me after the auction.
Cow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Not that it's always going to happen that way, but make a phone call.
Birch, let me tell you, I've seen houses relisted for 11 weeks.
Yeah.
I'm talking about 3-4 months.
Yeah.
But this is after someone has won the bid. Well, once again, this robo bidding, we don't even know. Was it a computer that won? I just feel like it should be illegal for them to have the computers bidding this stuff up. And I believe that if we stuck together, us investors, I think we could get some noise on this thing.
Yeah.
Because they have us bidding.
I want to just get back to something Chris Birch was stating on the cost, right? The back end cost. Investors in general, you really need to know your back end numbers, because at the end of the day, that gets added on to what your real number is. And one of the things I really want to bring to everyone's attention is the fact that on these online auctions like Hubzu, for instance, when you bid and you win that bid, not only do you have that fee, whether it be the 3% fee or that 5% fee, whatever that fee may be, right? What you need to keep in mind is that you're obligated to using their title insurance. Their title company. And
which is more money for them, right, Dan?
Yeah, oh my God, not only that, but the fees they charge are so abnormal. You got to add another sometimes 30 to 50% more on your closing costs. And on top of that, they push all the closing costs onto you. Whatever the customary fees for buyers and sellers are in that particular region is irrelevant. All those closing costs are getting pushed onto your side, with the exception 99% of the time of the actual title insurance policy, because they're paying for that so that they could use whoever they want to use. But, again, these are costs that you all have to take into consideration that have to be added on to the acquisition price, because your real number is not only the purchase price, but your cost to close that deal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I've even found, not that the auction house did it to be, sneaky, but I've never won it, but I almost won an auction where it said in the terms at the bottom, closing costs, obviously not included, that's additional. Any additional liens or judgment are the responsibility of the bid winner.
Wow. So correct.
Yep. So you don't even know until after you win the auction, you get the settlement, and now the title company is telling you that Bank of whatever has a $25,000 lien against this property. So you got to do your homework too.
Well, what we normally do is we run a title. We do like a simple title, right? Where we just give it to the title company and pay them a couple $100 to do a simple title search, correct?
Yeah.
But that still doesn't give you everything. You never know, especially if there's HOAs involved. So let's say if there's a lien on the property for HOA for 25 grand, you need to add at least, and then you determine what date that was filed. So if it was filed 12 months ago and you know the HOAs in that particular community are $300 a month, you got to add another $3,600 to that. And then you got to add another $3,000 for the attorney fees, for the HOA's attorney fees. So just to play it safe. So now, you're up to 31 and a half now. So yeah, you're assuming is that lien, not the 25 that's on record. But the problem is you don't want to do a search on every single one of the properties you're interested in. Why? Because half of those properties are going to be off the block that morning for whatever that reason is. It could be that the previous owner declared bankruptcy, so now they have to pull it off the block because since they declared bankruptcy, now it's going to go into a possible short sale, right? There's so many different reasons why they could pull it off the block. Sometimes you get an auctioneer that favors another investor and figures out a way to feed them that property, right? But again, it's you're walking a tightrope, and it's always you're making decisions on a minute by minute basis.
Well, let me close this window. For generally speaking, on an online auction, they have the title search. Generally speaking, I'm not talking about on the tax side, but for my people that are for my rounduppers, they have a title search already, correct, gentlemen?
It depends on which auction site. Like Hubzu, they give you clean title. Because remember, like Hubzu, for instance, they represent the bank-owned properties.
Yeah.
That took it back at the auction house steps because they didn't get enough, right?
Yeah,
they also buy paper that now they're auctioning. That's their own paper that now they clean title with, correct? But then you got some of the auction.com sites, it's like buying it on the courthouse steps. What you're simply doing is taking the position of the bank. It's up to you to figure out how you're going to settle everyone else's position.
I didn't want to get too deep into that. That's a whole nother one, Daniel, which we need to probably cover that.
Oh, my God, that's another 2 to 3 hours, man.
Yeah. Yeah. But I want to get back to knowing the players. Around here, there are some people that will buy a house. I hear a lot with my clients and inner circle members. They try to buy based on another man's equation. I want to know your opinion on trying to do that, and what are the ramifications in thinking like that?
Well, I don't think I understand the question.
Like, I've got a guy around here, right? He'll buy a house. He does so many a year. He'll buy a house, Daniel, just to keep his crew working. He doesn't have to make any money on it. Doesn't even care. Right. Matter of fact, he could lose a few thousand because his guys will be living in it for the next year or two. Conversely, let me talk. I'm going to compare that to a person like me, where we have a limited amount of money to buy properties for the year, right? I need to make sure that we're making X amount of dollars on each house. So we have two different types of buyers. I want you to tell us, what do you think? What is your opinion on making sure that you know your numbers and forgetting about anybody else's numbers when you're bidding on these auctions, because they're getting bidded up?
Who you asked? You want Kris to answer that? I'm not sure.
Yeah, both.
Yeah, I can. I know in real estate, I always heard the 70% rule, which is you cannot pay more than 70% of what the after repair value is going to sell for. Right, so that would be acquisition cost, all your fees, all your rehab cannot be more than 70.
Yeah.
I've learned with the flips that I've done, and I'm not saying 70% is wrong. It needs like 55 or 60% because you got 10% that are unknown.
Yep.
10%, you got a vacant property, no one's in it. You don't even know if the sewer line makes it out to the street or if there even is a sewer line going out to the street. I mean, it's amazing. I have a property now in Baltimore there's no utilities at all, nothing. And I get a bill for $190 from the water company for upgrades in the utility system. But yet we don't have service. There's no account set up. So I'm paying a bill for the city to keep the infrastructure up, and I'm doing nothing with the property. So there's so many unknown things, whether you're holding it or rehabbing it, whatever it is. I think that percentage rule needs to be a little bit more conservative than 70. I think in a perfect world, 70 works, but I haven't experienced a perfect transaction yet. You know.
Daniel, how about you? Or you? I remember you said sometimes I can't remember exactly what you said, but you could buy. I mean, you would have either bought houses despite of the profit, or bought houses for personal reasons. Just tell me a little bit about that. I just want my newbies to, because a lot of my new investors are like, man, if he can bid 240,000, maybe I could bid 240,000 too. You know, I want to make sure that they understand.
So,
they have to be on their own number.
Like people like us, all three of us, right? You know, since we've been in the business and we've made all our mistakes, or I shouldn't say all of them. We'll continue to make mistakes and learn from them. But the big mistakes, we've already experienced those, right? And what happens is that, for instance, every property is a different strategy for us, right? So if I'm buying a property because I want to do a long-term hold on it, because I think it's going to give me anywhere between a 6 and 12% return on equity increase for the next 5 years, I'm going to be willing to pay a little bit more for that. And I'll do even like an 85 to a 90% of after renovation value. If it's going to be a flip, I never went by that 70-30 rule. I've always gone by 65, and I stick to it. But in this particular environment, between the political environment and the economic environment, I've even lowered down. I've gone down to 50%, because I want to hedge my bets if the market drops. That 50%, right? And if I don't get that number, if it's on a flip, I'm not going to buy it, because I don't care, right? So every property is different. Look, I bought the property next door to my house. I bought it because I got a phone call it was with a estate sale. I got a phone call from 3 different builders that I know. And all 3 of them called me and said, listen, the attorney's shopping this property, trying to do it without the attorney, trying to do it without the realtor, for whatever those reasons were. And this is the number. And my argument to them was, well, why are you calling me? Because what they were going to do is knock it down and build, a $1.2 million house, right? And they all said the same thing, because we know how you are. We know whoever buys that house to knock down and build, they're gonna have a problem with you. So, not that I'm a tough guy or anything, but the reality is, I'm gonna let you know if you're annoying me, right? So, I ended up buying a house. I didn't get a great deal on it. I paid on my market, but there was a value to that for me, right? It was because now I control that property. I live in peace. It's always kept clean. I made sure there's only 2 people living there. They're quiet. They keep the place immaculate. So am I losing a financial money in reference to opportunity costs? Yes, because if I had taken that money and invested it somewhere else, I would have made more profit during the same course of time. But there's a value to it, because my quality of life is better, right?
Nice.
So every property is different, I guess is what I'm trying to say to you.
Well, I'm saying, Daniel, I think it will be impossible to beat you in a situation like that. Impossible. I mean, you would pay. I mean, we couldn't make a penny on that if I was bidding against you. Yeah. So I guess I wanted to make sure people understand.
It depends, right? Because remember, if your goal is after renovation value at 70%, and I'm coming in at 50, of course you could beat me all day long. All day long, you could beat me. But in my case, I could afford to be more selective. I'm not, look, I got 4 kids. 3 of them already graduated. My 4th is going to be graduating in 2 years, and his college money's already put aside. So, if you had asked me that same question 6 years ago, I'd have to do the 70-75%. But now I could be more selective, right? Yeah. So it all depends on what stage of life you're in. It all depends on what your tolerance level is. It all depends on how how deep is that fire in your gut still? There's a lot of variables.
So
I'm talking about what works for us.
I like the way you're saying that. I look at real estate like the NFL. Every team has a coach. Every coach has a different plan and a playbook for their team, and they all think it's going to work for them. And sometimes, it does work.
Right.
So I want my Roundup homies, y'all. Listen, do not compare your buying equation and your style to another man's. You will lose.
Yeah, I mean, look, don't concern yourself. I tell people, like when you buy from wholesales, right? I don't care if the wholesaler made 50 grand. I don't care if the wholesaler made $3,000. It's irrelevant to me. What matters to me is what my number is. If my numbers are going to work, don't count somebody else's money. Count your own money.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. Well, I've been on here 40 minutes. Roundup, please get your questions in the box right there for these two real estate investors and for me. If you got anything about online auctions, I don't like them. I do participate in them. I don't like giving them my credit card. Do you guys do the 25? Usually it's 25%, 2,500 on the card. Is that too?
Yeah, that's just normal practice. I mean, it is what it is.
You had any problems with that?
Never.
Either one of you, Kris, Birch?
No, I was a little leery about doing it, so I actually set up a separate account, and I used the debit card from that account just for that deposit purpose. That's not where the funds are going to sit. There's just enough in there to do the minimum, fees that I would have to pay to lock it in. That's all. But what Dan was saying about the percentage value, you also got to think as a new investor, how are you acquiring this property? What's the cost of the money? Someone like Dan is probably going to pay cash. I don't know, but someone like me has to be a little bit more creative to call someone like Kris Haskins to say, hey, you want to partner on this? Maybe it's something both of us can do. Mm-hmm. And then for me, and I know Kris Haskins preaches this all the time, some of the transactions we do, we're not doing it to make money today. Mm-hmm. So I might be using my self-directed IRA to invest in Kris Haskins' property, where I don't care if it takes 3 months or 6 months. The 7% he's given me pays me back in 8 or 9 months and dumps back into my retirement account. So it's all you're transacting,
Wow. Good point.
Kris, that's a great point. I mean, it goes back to what I was saying earlier. I mean, everyone has different needs, different risk tolerance levels. You got to go according to what works for you.
Well, I've just seen so many.
At the end of the day, you really need to know your real numbers. So that interest that you're going to be paying for that borrowed money, that goes into your carrying costs. And what I normally do is if I figure I got to carry that, and we just picked up something today we closed on in Howell, New Jersey, a one-family house. And we're figuring 90 days. If I'm into that property for more than 90 days, I'm going to be really agitated. But I always figure in another 60 days additional to the 90 on my carrying costs to make sure that the numbers still make sense.
You never know.
Right.
That's a good point. Always, I'm presuming, AKA you're saying always anticipate you're going to hold the property for more than what you think.
Precisely, always. I mean, and always anticipate that additional work. I know Kris Birch said earlier he figures in 10% additional for that extra work. I figure it in at 12 to 15%, depending on what I see with the eye. But no less than 12.
I can't tell you how many people that I know that have borrowed hard money. Usually the hard money guys have that 6 month. They think they're going to go in there, buy it, get it fixed, turned around, and get it all done in 6 months, right? And I'm like, listen, even if you sell the property the day you finish the rehab, you got 2 months in closing costs for your buyer that's going to get a loan.
Right. Yep. Right.
Even if you sold it the day you listed it, so I guess I want people to know that this HGTV crap is just not real.
That's how we got into this conversation, if you remember, actually, now that you brought that up, right, Kris Birch, was, this business is nothing like you see on HGTV. I mean, it's like, I think there's really one that's come close to it that I've seen, the one in Vegas, Selling Vegas, I think, with the husband and wife, the wife's a designer. Yeah, but I mean, the rest of them, I got to tell you, they don't really come close to the reality of the business.
Yeah.
But like in our case, in our situation, which most beginners don't realize as well, is that we could bring in a job usually at 20 to 30% less, sometimes even 50% less than what somebody new in the business is going to bring it in at.
Because
right?
of what, Danny?
Well, okay. So in my case, when I buy material, for instance, we use the same color paint, right?
Over and over and over and over.
Right. So if there's a special, for instance, I'm not going to buy 10 tubs. I'm going to buy 2 skids of that tub of that color scheme, right? And I'm going to put it in my garage. We have a garage for that, right? If there's a sale, for instance, the microwave hood range, the GE.
$200.
Excuse me. Actually, no. We picked them up. We walked into Home Depot. The ones that we normally pay like $230 for, they had them for $99.
Holy cow!
Yeah. And we go to the manager for the appliance department, and we asked him why, and he was like, because they're discontinued. We asked him how many he had left. He said we had 44 left. I said, can I take them all? But I didn't say, can I take them all? I asked him, if you take $20 off, I'll take them all off your hands. Well, of course, he said no, but he took $10 off. So we're at $89 at foot. So think about the numbers that we saved. So within 4 months, we redid, I think, something like 17 kitchens, not including the ones we used out to switch them out on ones that needed to be repaired.
Mm-hmm.
Why bother repairing it? Switch it out. It's cheaper, and the tenants happy. They have a brand new, hood range microwave, and we save tons of money. So that's why it's the same thing with like our counters and our granite counters. These guys, they know we're going to give them the volume. They're going to pretty much bend over backwards to keep our business.
Roundup, aka what he's saying. I'm going to read between the lines, or I guess more elaborate on that. So you just cannot buy your house based on a Daniel Borrero. If Daniel has certain connections that he's going to get things a lot cheaper than you are. Generally speaking, if you're doing 1 to 2 houses.
Listen, the best thing I tell people is if you're going to flip 5 houses a year, and you walk into Home Depot and Lowe's and you see a fan that was $200, a 52-inch light fan that was 52-inch light fan that was at $200, and it's reduced to $89, $79. Go up to them, negotiate. Everybody negotiates. Buy them all. You're going to use them. It's better than putting your money in the bank making 0.25% versus buying that fan. You immediately have equity into the fan.
Wow. That's deep, man. Roundup, get your questions in for the experts today. Birch, anything you want to drop on that regarding, I know you said you number, well, Kris, what made your number, boom, I'm not going to go higher than that number on that last auction. Why didn't you? Because a lot of people get the auction bug and want to keep going up and up.
Of course. It's about first understanding where you're buying, what you're buying, the comparables in that immediate neighborhood. I know this neighborhood, fortunately, because I acquired a piece of property there at the end of last year. And I know what they're selling for new, meaning redone. And, you're going to put, I don't care what square footage you have, anywhere 1,000 square feet, 1,200 square feet. For a full renovation, you're at 50, 60 grand easily.
Easy.
Right? Easily. So you add that, let's say 60, and you add my top part was 30 to 35. So we're at 95 real quick.
Gotcha.
And if I want to sell it at 145, I'm going to pay 9% on the seller side just to have real estate agent fees. I'm going to pay all that stuff.
Yep.
So am I willing to invest $95,000 to make 15 or 20? Mm-hmm. And it might take me 6, 9, 12 months to do that? Probably not.
No.
Good point. People think
that makes sense, right? Kris, Birch, you showed us a picture. If I remember correctly, you showed us a picture of that property and it was all gutted out, correct?
The one I own was gutted out.
Yeah. And so like when I walk into a property like that, I love it, right? Most people walk in and they see a disaster and I say, wow, this is great. I don't got to pay to rip it out. My men ain't sucking up dirt or dust in their lungs. I don't got to worry about the dumpster. Whereas when I fill it up overnight, people are going to fill it up for me. When I come in the morning, it's filled up with someone else's garbage.
Good point.
It's like I walk in there, when I see it gutted out, I'm like, thank you, God. Like, you just saved me a ton of headaches and work and money.
Yeah, I mean, I use the term, it's a blank canvas. Do what you want with it.
Totally. Yeah.
Well, let's get to some Q&A. I had you off for 50 minutes. Rosanna, what's going on, Rosanna? I saw you at the beach. Man, I want to get to the beach out there. It's beautiful out there. Who is this for? Luis. Hey, Luis, are you a part of any land profit generator? I'm a land beginner.
Actually, there's a company out there that they do very well. But no, I personally am not. I don't know about you guys.
Nope.
Is Rochelle? Is this with Michelle Bosch? No, don't know who that is.
She's a person who teaches about buying and selling land. Very good, actually.
Nice. Jack is waiting for his interview, Borrero. What's up? Y'all ain't put that together yet, brother?
We're gonna get to it, Jack. I actually I just did a promo on the YouTube channel, and this actually was gonna be my first interview, but Kris thought it would be better to do it through his system, and I gotta agree 100%. It definitely is. But both Kris and Chris Birch are gonna be on there. They agreed to be on one of my interviews, and Nicole will be, Ronnie will be, Haskins as well. So it's coming.
Jack is another member of our YouTube and Internet Marketing Mastermind. If you're interested in joining that too, just go to my website. You're gonna get to talk to these dudes twice a month, and I'm getting a massive value out of that thing. Just hanging out with y'all more. Thank y'all for being in it with me.
No, thank you for inviting us. It's a great experience.
Mm-hmm. Gates, I almost paid $10,000 in closing costs after winning the bid. Oh my Lord!
I gotta say, 10,000. It depends on where the property is and what the value and what the winning bid was, right? Mm-hmm. So if you're in New York City and you pay $10,000 in closing costs, that's actually average, right? Oh well, that's actually below average.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, if you're in the state of Florida and you're buying a condo for $75,000 and you're paying $10,000, you got a problem.
Yeah.
It all depends where the property was and what the winning bid was.
Dawn, East Coast. Birch, would you be willing to mentor someone in Baltimore?
Yeah, so I'm actually working on setting some of that type of stuff up. You can go to chrisbirch.biz and just contact me there, and then we can talk that through. But yeah, I'll entertain it. Sure.
Yep. Somebody grew up in Howell, New Jersey. Miss BSN. Hey, Williams, after you win the bid, do you put the house in a land trust? I guess everybody has their different strategy.
I would refer that back to you, Chris Haskins.
Williams, if you followed the content, we always 100% without exception buy land trusts. Now, however, when we win the bid, you got two types of auctions, right? You got the big boy auctions, the one that you go with a cashier's check, and you got to put that, you have to leave. Matter of fact, you can't even bid unless you showing you got the cashier's. I like those, to be honest, because it just weeds out so many, we call them posers. So you're holding up, you gotta show up with 10 grand, so like but you make those cashier's checks out to yourself, you have to sign it over. So with those, the contract would be in our name, but we would assign it to our land trust, or you can do your LLC before closing. I'm not mad. I'm not necessarily mad at you, but on a regular closing, you're going to have to assign it to a land trust. They're not going to let you buy it in a land. They're not going to let you bid in a land trust because the land trust doesn't have a tax ID. It just doesn't work like that. You got to put your Patricia, hey, if a simple title search, we call them, what do we call them here? Not simple, we call them, if it's simple title search doesn't show all the money owed on the property, how can I find out what liens or debts will be incurred after I win the bid? Good question, Patricia. Dan? Or
That's when you got to give it to a title. I mean, can you do it yourself? Yeah, but the time that it consumes, and you're probably not going to get it done right. I give it to the title company, do a full search on it, because you need to know that anyway prior to you even putting it up for sale. Because you can't sell the property with a cloud on title, right?
they're talking about buying though, Dan, buying, because we're talking.
Yeah, when you're buying on New York, if I'm reading it correctly, she's saying, what if something else comes up that's not on a simple title search prior to you buying it, right?
Yep.
So at that point, that's when you do a full title search, and because you need to clear any cloud on title prior to you even putting it up, because you don't want that to come up during a closing process. Because while you're doing your renovations, you could try to clear out that title or negotiate whatever that is. You'd be surprised how many people will take, 50% or 10 cents on the dollar, depending on how long they've been trying to collect and how much money they've spent.
Yep. But Patricia, I'd like to go ahead, Bert. You got something?
No, I was actually agreeing with that. As you develop relationships, I have a title company now that used to charge $500 for a full search, and if I agree to use them exclusively, they'll do it for $300. So for me, on a property that's worth $150,000 on the retail side, that $300 is gold to have them to do as much of their due diligence, as I'm moving forward.
What we do, Patricia, once you win the bid, you better do the full search before you actually put the money up anyway. But if you want to do something, what we do is we do something they call a current owner plus one. A current owner plus one back, okay? So what the philosophy is with that is, say if you had a house that went to foreclosure, let's say the loan that's foreclosing is from 2015, right? The philosophy or the thinking is the lender that loaned them the money in 2015, no doubt did a title search at that time, right? So if you do a current owner and one back, it's safe to say that you are probably going to be close to what's owed, but still, like Dan said, you got to get that full search. Now you can bid on a current owner plus one. That's what I do, because it's cheaper, right? Because we might do you might do 5 to 10 searches in a month. You don't know how many searches you're gonna do.
It's funny. So you call that? I didn't know that you call that. That's what I refer to as a soft title search. But
soft, yeah, it's simple. I thought, okay, simple and soft. That's what we call it. Soft. We call it soft title. Same thing, Daniel.
Okay.
So the current owner plus one. So then after you win the bid, we're willing to do. Then you'll get the full search. Is that where you're at, Dan?
Precisely, yes.
Because shit, man, you might do. You don't want to spend $500. Good Lord.
No, well, that's what I went back earlier, because you could be interested on 10 properties. You're only going to get maybe 2 to 3. You don't want to run a search on all 10. You do the ones that you most likely think you may be able to get.
There you go. There you go. Let's see. Good question though. That was a good one. And Patricia, really you better know what position. I'm not even. We don't have time to get into that. You better know a position for closing. I'm gonna just leave it at that. Bud, shout out to Daniel. Good conversation with him today.
Yeah, I had a great conversation with him today.
Daniel, you everywhere. Gates, Williams. They ask you what name for the company you'll take title in. Yes, it's usually going to be an LLC or your personal name. It's got to have a tax ID.
Yep.
Coca Lacus, what's up, dog?
John's a great guy. Another guy we got to have. He's another guy I'm going to be doing an interview. He and I did a long. It's about an hour long of a taping from beginning to end on how to do closings.
Wow.
And I'm actually finished editing it, and I'm about to be posting it pretty soon. It's going to be a real interesting video to watch on YouTube.
Roundup family. John Kokalakis is a real estate attorney in New York. I had him on my channel last year, but we met him hanging out with Patrick Bet-David last year at the Valuetainment conference. No questions. Awesome. Gates. That's to them. John. Birch. Dawn East. Are you willing to mentor someone? Unpaid internship opportunities, Birch.
You're going to work hard for that one. That's what Daniel referenced. That's the demo crew. That's where you start.
Yeah.
Better get him an N95 mask.
Yeah. No, all joking aside. No, I mean, I love doing what I do and sharing what I share. If I can help, I'll help. I mean, that's fine. Yeah.
Kris, good guy. Monroe hanging out. What's up, brother? JC, do you expect a wave of foreclosures to start coming spring 2021? I'll let Daniel, because you got more history than we both have put together.
So I'm not sure if you should go by me, to be honest with you, because I thought this was going to start happening already.
You said that. I see it coming, though. It's coming.
Yeah, this COVID situation that's happening is so unprecedented that it's kind of changed the entire dynamics of real estate as well. So
it's rewriting history.
Oh yeah, what I see a lot of things happening. I see that I personally think that the government's going to stop, the spigot as far as just pouring money into people's hands right after the elections. Because at that point, it doesn't, they're just trying to buy the elections right now, right? Both sides.
I did think of Trump when I got my money. I got to be on. And he sent me a letter, too. Did he send you guys a letter?
So, exactly. So,
he sent all of us a letter that we paid for.
That's right.
So, the point is that this is an unrealistic situation we're in. The economy, in my opinion, is held up with a sand foundation instead of a cement foundation. I think that's going to change come November. I think people are going to try to. You usually see people holding on for about 6 to 7 months
around election time,
when you're going to see everything starting to fall apart, especially in the city. So what we're seeing here in New York City is a large percentage of the population. They're starting to move out to the suburbs. So, the suburbs of New Jersey, suburbs of Connecticut, the suburbs of upstate New York, that was losing population and the pricing of property was going down dramatically, has seen a huge surge, right? Because there are families that were living in the city in these small apartments, and they were willing to forego those larger spaces without having the yard and without having the dining room and the bigger family room, because they had the culture of the city, the restaurants, the theater, the free activities in the parks, the cultural differences, everything the city has to offer, right? But now they can't experience any of that. Yeah. So they're saying you're cooped up in these apartments with, 1 or 2 kids, or even some of them without children, right? And they're saying, so why are we paying all this rent? Why are we paying being cooped up in a small apartment when we could leave? And the other thing is, a lot of companies are starting to realize, wait a minute, we're getting more productivity from people staying at home than when they come into the office. Let's leave them at home 3 days a week, right? So these people are saying, I could live 2 hours away or an hour away because I only have to come in 2 days a week if I have to.
Nice.
My expenses are less. I have a bigger property, and I'm not cooped up in the apartment, because right now I think COVID, until we get a vaccine, is going to kill the inner cities as far as property value. And then on top of it, in the city of New York and a lot of major cities, you had a big increase of new inventory coming into the market. In addition to, now you have all this office space that's not going to be used. It's probably going to get converted into residential space. So you're going to have a huge influx of inventory with less people to live in it. It's going to drop the prices dramatically. So, if you're in a position to save and you're patient enough, I would say sit and wait and take advantage.
Or buy Zoom stock and wait.
That's the truth too.
Kris got me in the stock market, Kris. I can't believe I'm buying stock now, man. I cannot believe it. All right. Do you guys, real quick, Roberto, do you guys buy multifamilies online auction?
I haven't. I mean, if it made sense, yeah, I would. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, if it makes sense, of course.
Williams, you got my land trust documents. Thank you for supporting my mission. Are there any updates? All the updates will be on the link. You got the link. I add them right to the link so you can download them anytime. Good one. Gerald Boone. Hey, when bidding on a short sale, can I get a seller's concessions from the bank? I'll let you guys chime in.
I've never seen that, because I've never ever seen that. No.
I have, yeah, all the time. Matter of fact, I throw $1,000 in there every time. If they give it to me, cool. If not, yeah.
I've never on a short sale when I'm negotiating with the asset manager. No, but listen, my numbers are always low on the short sale.
Yeah, you're so low, man. Shit, you'd be embarrassed to ask for
yeah.
Trump 20. Kris, you crazy. I'm seeing John Kakalakis. I'm seeing pockets where some areas are hurting, but other areas are selling for above asking.
Yes. Yeah, like when you're leaving like you're within the hour out of the city of New York, everything's booming.
It's booming here too, man. Gerald, I work in public housing. I see property owners in trouble already. Foreclose. Yeah, I think these foreclosures are coming big time. I think they're coming. I refuse the vaccine. Jack, unlike 2008 bank, 41 million employed. Last question, Felipe. For out-of-state owners, can closings be done virtually in DocuSign? How are you dealing with COVID during the closings?
So I could. You want me to answer that, or
you can? Yeah, we'll all chime in. We're using, man. I'm just sending FedEx.
All of my. I never go to my closings unless they're in New York, because New York closings are a little difficult. You know, New York closing, you have
attorney,
buyer's attorney, seller's attorney. You have the bank representative. You have
Lord. You got a bank inspector. You got a bank inspector at the closing.
Well, he's basically, it's usually the title company that represents him, but they also represent the title company. So to make a long story short, most of the time in New York, yes, I go. I never go to closings anymore.
Yeah,
no.
Yeah, that's not.
I mean, sometimes I do. I shouldn't say that. If I'm in Florida, I will go because I want to introduce myself to the title agents, because a lot of times what happens is they may be working on a short sale, or they put in all this work into a very difficult closing where the buyer may walk away at the last minute, and they'll call me up and say, listen, I got this property in the area that I know you specialize in. This is the number. Can you make it happen? Because they don't want to have gone through all that work and not close it because they lose the money on the title policy, as well as other fees. So, that's why if I go, the reason I'm going is more about creating relationships and increasing my network.
Chris Monroe, is it possible to wholesale properties that you win at an auction? Absolutely.
Yeah, you can do an assignment before settlement.
There you go.
Yes, you can. Yeah. All day long.
I've bought them and sold them before. Shit, man, I've seen them. They've won the bid. I get to do $5,000 right there on the site.
Absolutely, without a doubt.
They'll win the bid. There you go. Let's go.
Let's go. Make it happen.
Let's do it. I love hanging out with the dude because it's like, if you spending big paper, man, nobody has time to screw anybody over. It's like, man, let's do this and let's get it over with.
Yeah.
Janie Beck. Hey, how do you appraise properties in these uncertain times?
So I alluded to that earlier before, right? So let's say, like I said, if I normally would come in at 65% after renovation value, I want to be now at 50%, because I want to give myself that 15% just in case the market drops that 15%.
Bert, you want to chime in on that?
Yeah. So actually, I was going to chime in on the uncertain times question and dealing with COVID.
I'm sorry.
So the only reason you actually have to do it in front of the title attorney is because it gets notarized when you sign it. You can wire the funds, you can go to the bank drive-through and notarize the documents, FedEx it to the title company. You don't have to come in contact with anybody. So I've done that pre-COVID, and I'm going to do that moving forward. I don't want to waste time going to the title company.
No way. And your trustee can go anyway.
Exactly. But as far as appraisal, the only number you can do it on is the comparables that have already sold in that neighborhood, which are probably in some neighborhoods greater than what they were before, and a lot of neighborhoods probably less. So using Daniel's method of backing that 65% down to about 50 or 55 is probably pretty smart, because it's uncertain. We don't know moving forward.
You don't.
But I will say, I'm not sure about New York or down where you are, Chris, in Virginia. But in D.C., the inventory is like minimal.
Scares. I love it. I love it. Think about it. Homeowners don't want people coming in. It's like perfect storm for investors because we got houses sitting vacant. Sitting vacant. So we can show any house we want.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
For the 70 or so people, 75 people that are here, my friends, please give us your final thoughts. We'll start with Daniel on the online auction stuff. Let's make sure we give them the value that they want for today. Roundup. Make sure you subscribe. Hit that like button. Daniel, that was your key to give your final thoughts on online auction.
I'm so sorry, Kris. My final thoughts. Buying properties in auctions are actually, you could find some good deals, but you need to be really smart. You need to educate yourself first. You need to go a few times without having any intent of ever buying, at least a minimum of 6 to 7 times for multiple reasons. You want to learn the personalities of the people that are always there. You want to learn who the players are. You want to understand what their signage is. If you're buying online, I would it would be like if you were buying stock, right? You make believe you're buying it, but not actually put down the money and watch it, learn on it, say, okay, I would have bid this and bid on it as if you were really trying to buy it. Why? That way you can learn based on those mistakes that didn't cost you any money before you actually start doing it. I would actually do a lot of reading. I would look for mentorship from people that are actually doing this, not people that have only done it 2 or 3 times, or people that have done it for years and have not just done 10 or 20, but have done hundreds. That way you're getting real knowledge from people that truly understand what they're doing.
Yeah. Brother Kris, final thoughts on online auctions.
So I think that suggestion is actually something that I practice already. I just reached over to my desk. I have a notebook of all the upcoming auctions. I have highlighted what I'm interested in, why I'm interested in. I've already started to do my due diligence for next week's auctions and say, okay, cool, here's the comps, here's whatever information I can generate between now and next Monday. And I don't start bidding until about the last hour of an online auction. I don't even waste my time because it's irrelevant, because if I log in the hour before it closes and it's already above my maximum price, good. Move on. Yeah.
Move on.
But I wouldn't talk down to it, especially now, because we don't have much other option unless you're looking at, dealing with wholesalers or retail, which obviously for us, retail doesn't work. My wholesalers, I've been reaching out to them just to see, they're like, people aren't ready yet. They're not moving quite as much, but yet just in January and February, we almost had 3 or 4 deals in the same weekend. Like, people were really moving. And now I think everyone's just kind of retracted.
Yeah.
Because they're being, in a sense, they're being covered by the banking institutions, or so they think they're being covered, that they're giving these loan forgiveness, but it's not really forgiveness. They're just not pursuing you right now. But in 3 or 4 months, they're gonna be calling that loan for the last 3 months due.
Yeah, they want that money. They want that money.
But yeah, I would just say be careful, be cautious, do your homework first. Play Monopoly. Figure out what you think it's worth. Watch it. Log in the hour before and watch what happens. You'll see what we deal with. I mean, this person, this robot, and if it doesn't make sense, don't do it.
Yeah.
Kris, I tell people all the time that the ones that are most successful in this business are the ones that took the time out to educate themselves the most. Before taking action, right? And then, of course, you have to now take the action, because a lot of people educate themselves and never take that action.
True.
So, and it's so easy to do in comparison to when I started. I mean, you got Chris Haskins with 55,000 subscribers and countless videos that he's giving out free information. I mean, I just started my YouTube channel. I think I've got like 30 or actually 40 videos, 47 videos. And I'm giving you information based on reality, and you're getting it all for free, right? So there's so much free information and accredited investors that you could actually pay to be mentors, that I would reach out to those, especially somebody like Chris Haskins and Chris Birch. Don't don't make the mistakes that we made, and we didn't have access to what you currently have now. So educate yourself. It costs nothing to do.
They're spoiled, aren't they, Dan?
Yeah, they are. I don't think most investors today, or people who want to become investors, really understand how much easier it can be if they just took the time out though and read. And I'm not talking about reading, a 30-second anecdote. I'm talking about just take out the time and read. I mean, I got a phone call today from this guy Bud, right? He actually commented. I was talking to him for that 45-minute ride that I had to take to Howell, New Jersey. I mean, I know this guy got a ton of information that took me years to figure out, right? In that 45-minute ride, and it didn't cost me anything because I was in the car, right? So I didn't mind talking to him, but he had the wherewithal to actually pick up the phone and not be fearful and say, "Can you help me?"
Nice. All right, Roundup. I had you for an hour. That's all I got for you. To make sure tomorrow, 4:00, I've got a social media expert coming on. The guy did 7 deals over the last 3 weeks with this social media stuff. This stuff's booming, and I'm using him to do my lead generation too. And you are going to love him. Just phenomenal information. You better be using social media right now. I don't think COVID's going anywhere. Matter of fact, my friend in Houston said that they opened up and they had to shut it back down, the whole city. So I'm like, I just don't think it's going anywhere, guys.
No.
I think it's here to stay. Roundup, make sure you subscribe, share this content with anybody else that's thinking about using online auctions so they can be prepared when they go to do so. And we'll see you soon on my channel. See you later, everybody.
Have a wonderful night.